The row over Sanjay Leela Bhansali's magnum opus Padmavati shows no signs of fading away. This over the alleged incorporation of a possible romantic sequence between Rani Padmini, that is played by Deepika Padukone, and also Alauddin Khilji, that is played by Ranveer Singh. Though the film's director and the team have vehemently denied that such a scene was ever a part of the film, the protests have only escalated. The lead actress Deepika Padukone, who plays Rani Padmavati in the movie, has responded to the protest saying that she feels the nation has regressed. Now, in the midst of the escalating protests and the growing threats, Bhansali has been given precautionary security cover. The Padmavati's release is currently being opposed by several Rajput outfits over the film's alleged factual inaccuracies and what they call as a misrepresentation of their history on which hinges their pride. And also in Karnataka, as many as 500 people of the Rajput Karni Sena marched from Bengaluru's town hall to Freedom Park. Protesters are seeking a ban on the release of the film and plan to approach the district authorities. In January earlier in the year, protesters had vandalized the sets of the movie in Rajasthan. Bhansali was also assaulted. Protests have continued over the last few weeks. In Madhya Pradesh's Bhopal, protesters tore the posters of the film. An effigy of Sanjay Leela Bhansali was also burnt. An effigy of Bhansali was also burnt in Uttar Pradesh's Varanasi as well. While in Jharkhand, protesters tore and burned the posters of the film in Ranchi. Well, to discuss more on this, we are joined by M.K. Lakshraj Singh Mewar, who is a member of the Udaipur royal family, to talk on the row of the film. Now, let's start by asking this big question. So, what was your initial reaction to the movie? How do you react to the film story, and also on the ground protests, which have only escalated?
First and foremost, I think there are certain subjects that just should be left out of making fictional films and making a commercial on them, because certain subjects are exceptionally sacred to people, which I don't think should be taken beyond a certain point. And I know, and it is certainly a debatable point. And as far as what is happening on the ground and people taking law and order in their hands, that is certainly something that I don't support. And that is something that I have also made a statement about recently as well, saying that we do need to take the route of law and make sure that our voice is heard through the right channel. Protesting is in our right, our democratic right, and that is certainly something that we must do. But certainly at the same time, in the same breath, not take law in our own hands.
And also, Mr. Lakshraj, did the makers of the movie contact you during the filming of the movie? Because essentially what is being raised by several of these Rajput outfits is that they're saying that there is a misrepresentation of history. Did the makers of the film, did Bhansali or any of his crew members get in touch with you to find out what the facts are?
No, we really didn't hear from anyone. But one thing that we have to understand, as far as filmmakers trying to contact us for facts, we need to understand between commercial fiction cinema and documentary. So at the end of the day, the entire debate is between these 2 points, and I don't know why this point hasn't come up yet. Because if they do want to make a story, they certainly could be inspired by our family. They could be inspired by these characters. But take it into commercial cinema and put it out as their own thought process is, I think, where the problem lies. And if they want to make a proper film and educate people about it, then that route is the documentary route, not commercial cinema route.
It's an interesting distinction that you're saying. There is commercial cinema and then there is a documentary that can be made which would actually disseminate facts. Now, you're saying that this is essentially commercial cinema. Then where do you think has a line been crossed? Do you think a line has been crossed? Because Bhansali, in his artistic expression, can project what he thinks is right, and you're not taking an exception to that.
Precisely picking up a subject that is not meant for commercial cinema. Now, this subject is really something that is made for a documentary. You want to show facts in a film. There cannot be a bigger paradox in the same breath than this. How can you have something which is an artistic creation of fact? Because fact will remain fact, and a creation will remain a creation. How do you marry the two?
Right. It's interesting, Lakshanat Singh, that you say that facts will remain facts, that fiction and facts should not merge. But the fact of the matter is, historical cinema has always been a part of Indian movies. Movies have been made in the past, movies will be made in the future. So where do you think the line has been crossed? And why do you think the line has been blurred in this instance?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think now is the time, rather than trying to formulate a committee on just one film, and keep jumping from one issue to the other, to the other, to the other. Now there is a time where the government needs to come and intervene, make a body where a law can be formed. You know, why don't we make sure that we take the law on the right side? We know in the last couple of films as well, we faced the same problem where certain titles or names had to be changed and so on and so forth, which the entire country is very well aware of. So I think these instances have led us to believe that now is the time that we need to wake up, and certain people's sentiments are being hurt, which is absolutely evident. Media has been reporting it, the visuals that we see now as well of the agitations that are going on. So it's obviously evident that people are being disturbed, people are being hurt, people are being saddened, and that is why there is an action reaction. So might as well the government come out, put a body together which forms the right law for the creators and artists to be able to express their freedom, but at the same time put a line which they cannot cross.
You know, it's interesting that you suggest that, making a law can perhaps, be an answer to these form of protests. But the fact of the matter is, there are people who have chosen to get offended. I mean, anyone can come out and say that I am offended because a certain thing that's shown in a film is something that is not agreeable to me. Do you think these protests are motivated? Do you think these people are really hurt? Because you yourself belong to, a royal family, and you're looking at it in a very, shall I put it this way, in a rational manner. But the manner in which some of the protests have been carried out, the manner in which Bhansali has been heckled and even threatened, that is not something where people can in fact come out and say that, look, we are hurt, so we are going to come back and protest in this manner.
Absolutely. So at the same time, what I'm saying, that the people who have taken law in their own hands is certainly something neither me or my family support at all. But the peaceful protests that are going on, where people are asking or demanding for the fact that this movie be banned, and doing it rightfully and lawfully, is certainly something that we do support. But any sort of movement that is anti-government in terms of its legality is certainly something that we don't support. But at the same time, now is the time in this democratic country, the only way to get your voice heard is through a protest, or putting down certain things, or voicing your opinion in the right manner. And I think now is the platform, and people need to learn in the right offices and take the cue from there, and say that now is the need of the hour, where we need to put the right think tank together, where the law can be created, and without a incident being there in front of us at this point in time, but taking learnings from the past and seeing the sort of sequence of events that have taken place, the sort of things that have hurt people, not only just sentiments, but there could be various other segments as well, which could also be considered when forming that particular body is required, to make sure that certain things of this nature do not crop up again, because time and again we have been noticing, and it's only getting bad to worse. And we are only spoiling our own environment, our own condition, and it doesn't send the right message.
It doesn't send the right message. Definitely. Do you think that these people who are protesting, who are threatening Bhansali with violence, do you think they're essentially politicizing an issue? Because ideally one would look at it that this should be an issue that should have been picked up by the royal family to which Queen Padmavati belonged, but they have remained fairly silent so far. Do you think these protests are essentially politically motivated?
Well, yes, anybody trying to politicize this entire issue is certainly something which is not welcoming at all. But I think at the same time, we need to take learning from this. And we, of course, certainly say that there is no reason at this point in time for whatever vested interests that people should come out and try and put their agenda before what the actual core issue is. And certainly in this manner, the core issue certainly not is to kind of have your own agendas taken care of, or just having to see the film. There is no rush for us to see the film. For us, the bigger cause is that not only as far as Mewar is concerned, not only as far as the state of Rajasthan is concerned, but we feel For I feel that as a citizen of this country, no person should have the authority as a country, as a nation, to be able to take its own history and distort it and politicize it for any personal or materialistic gains at all.
Lakshya Singh, thank you very much indeed for speaking to WION. That is a voice, a rational voice that is speaking out in this atmosphere that seems to be getting extremely vitriolic on the back of these protests that are taking place over a movie which claims to depict what has happened in the past. But again, the director of the film claims that he has a certain license to also depict what he terms is his expression of art of what has happened in the past.